Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to talk about 4 new things that are coming to the game. 2 new gear sets and 2 new exotics. They all sound pretty dope, I have to admit. Some of them are undoubtedly going to be tied to the upcoming Foundry raid, however there's one that's still a mystery. Before we get into it, I just wanted to say quickly thank you guys so much for the incredible support this month. We've literally gotten over 1,000 subscribers this month alone, and that's pretty astounding if you ask me. So thank you all for your support, it's noticed and appreciated. But let's get back to the video, and let's just jump right into it, shall we? Just a little preface, this all comes thanks to some data mined information of the game's library of gear and all that, so big shout out and thanks to those guys on Reddit for providing us with an early look at some of these new items. Let's start with the gear sets. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to be pretty excited about these. What we have are a strictly tank and healer set, which is very welcome and exciting in my eye. Let's start with the tank. Alright, so the set name for this one is called Foundry Bulwark. The 2-piece bonus is 10% total armor, the 3-piece bonus is 3% armor regen per second, and then the 4-piece is the talent called Makeshift Repair. So whenever you or your shield take damage, 40% of that amount is repaired to both over 10 seconds. So as soon as a bullet hits you or your shield, then both the player's armor and the shield is repaired for 40% of that amount over the next 10 seconds. And then the 2 amplification talents, the backpack one is called Process Refinery, which increases that makeshift repair process from 6 seconds, which is up from 10 seconds. And then the chest talent is called Improved Materials, which increases makeshift repairs from 40% to 60%. So when a bullet hits you, instead of only 40% of that amount healing you up, it is now 60% of that total amount that you are getting on your shield and your person. So yeah, you might be thinking that sounds pretty strong, and I agree. Honestly, both this one and the next set sound very strong, and I wouldn't be overly surprised if they're a bit tuned down by the time of their release, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think the concept of this set is really cool, and hopefully can drive people away from the annoying True Patriot meta we're seeing right now. Having a shield-specific set in vein of D3 from Div 1 is very cool to see, but there are 3 big standouts to me. The first being the 2-piece, namely because we've seen that exact stat be meta on True Patriot prior to Warlords, and now there's far less sources to acquire armor, let alone percent armor, so that one's going to be very strong. Next, the 3-piece is going to be nasty. It may not seem like it, but if you haven't tried an armor regen build, basically getting percent rolls for it are the only way to significantly buff it up. Currently, the highest you can get is 3% by using Golan, Gila, and the Emperor's Guard. However, now with this, you'll be able to get 5% on a build, meaning you'll probably get upwards of 80k armor regen per second if you spec into it on every piece. With a 6 red build, that's going to be nuts. Lastly, the fact that there's no cooldown on the 4-piece ability is crazy. It's entirely possible that there is one and it just wasn't recorded or was inaccessible in the files, but if there isn't, then that's going to be one hard son of a bitch to kill in PvP. And before we move on, it's important to note that the name literally has Foundry in it, so I have no doubt that in my mind that this and the next set will be the 2 raid gear sets this time around. Next up, we have the Future Initiative set, so let's go over its bonuses. The 2-piece bonus is 15% skill repair, the 3-piece is 15% skill duration as well as 15% skill haste, and then the 4-piece is called Ground Control. Increases you and your allies' total weapon and skill damage by 15% when at full armor. And then also when you repair an ally, you and all allies within 5 meters of you are also repaired for 60% of that amount. So then for the backpack amplification talent, we have Strategic Combat Support, increases ground control proximity repair from 60% to 120%. So any heal that you give to someone else, now you and anyone within 5 meters of you gets 120% of that amount given to you, and that's for if you're running that backpack talent, otherwise it's 60%. Then for the chest talent, increases ground control damage bonus from 15 to 25%. Alright, this is the one that I'm super hyped for. Not only is it just a great healing set, but it practically has a built-in empathic resolve, meaning you can freely run the chest piece to get the amplification talent that brings it up to 25% damage for your team. And honestly, this just seems like such a better healing set than Hardwired is. Even though you get some skill repair with Hardwired, it's just not very great for healing. The cooldown refresh obviously doesn't work with a healing high because it's charged based, so that kind of invalidates the 4-piece right there. Overall, this one is just very hyped for me, and I don't see it as being too overpowered. The possibility to heal yourself and a lot of your teammates for 120% on every heal you put out is undoubtedly strong, but the 5-meter radius should rein it in a bit. Regardless, we'll just have to wait and see, but for this one, I'm very, very excited. Next, let's move on to the exotics, and we have 2 guns here that are unknown where they drop from. My personal theory is that this first one will be the new raid exclusive exotic, not only because it seems very strong, but it also shares quite a similar look to the Eagle Bear. Not that that really means anything, but still. It's a rifle titled the Ravenous, and here's its talent. The talent is called I hope I'm saying this right, Jerry and Frecky. So on trigger pull, fire both barrels at once. It is a double-barreled rifle, and I'll put the picture up so you can see what it looks like. When fired from the right shoulder, hits add an offensive primer, and defensive primers are added when you fire from the left shoulder. So depending on which shoulder you're looking over, and on controller, that's when you click the left stick, it switches it, you'll add different primers, either an offensive one or a defensive one. So hits from one shoulder will detonate all of the opposite shoulder's primers when present. So say you shoot 5 offensive and then you swap to the other shoulder and hit once, all of those offensive primers will be detonated, and here's what it does. When detonated, each offensive primer deals 75% weapon damage, while each defensive primer grants 2% bonus armor for 5 seconds. Primer effectiveness is doubled at 10 stacks. So yeah, this thing is pretty nuts, and it has a pretty involved and high potential talent, which is just another reason why I think it'll be tied to the raid. I really like the primer system and how it has the potential for high burst DPS as well as extra survivability with the bonus armor. I think it'll be a really nice thing to have in the DZ because of its utility in those 2 bonuses, and hopefully it should be pretty effective in PvP as well. I don't have too much else to say about it for now, and hopefully we can find out how to acquire this one soon. Next up, we have the Regulus, which is going to be the second exotic pistol added to the game. Let's see how it works. The talent is called Regicide. Headshot kills deal 400% weapon damage and applies bleed to enemies within 5 meters of the enemy killed. So again, should be pretty neat. I do think that this one could fall a little flat given how pistols are in this game, and that talent does seem a little odd that you get extra damage on a headshot kill. I don't know if that lasts or what. In the Liberty's case, it has a very specific use in the game with the shield, but for this one, we'll have to just wait and see. I could definitely see that bleed proc being utilized with some creeping death builds to make some pretty cool things, so we'll have to wait and see what people come up with. As for how we're going to obtain this one, I don't really know. Maybe they'll introduce some new exotic quests, or maybe it'll be tied to a boss later on in the season. Who knows? Alright guys, well those are the 2 new gear sets and 2 new exotics that we have to look forward to being added to the game. What do y'all think about them? With the exception of the Regulus, I think they all sound very cool and viable, so we'll have to wait and see if that turns out to be true or not. Personally, I'm definitely the most excited for Future Initiative and the Ravenous. Let me know down in the comments which set and exotic you're looking forward to most. I want to hear all of your thoughts about it. Thank you very much for watching the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Until the next one guys, RogueGold out.